We're back for another interview. Again, I'm Ron Kander. I'm one of the co-instructors in the course, and I'll let Gabby introduce herself also.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to see everyone again. I'm Gabby, and today we're joined by Fred Strathmeyer, who is from the department, a PA Department of Agriculture, and I will let him introduce himself as well.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gabby. Thanks, Ron. Again, as Gabby said, my name is Fred Strathmeyer. I am actually a deputy secretary here at the Department of Agriculture. I ended up here 8 years ago at the beginning of the Wolf administration. But for the first 45 years of my working career, I was in the Christmas tree and nursery business, a business that was family owned, started by my grandfather and my father, and then there were 5 siblings in the business. My role in the business was essentially sales and some operations, but a lot of the sales that I did, and then also political and legislative matters that affected our business. Fell as part of what my responsibilities were. So I spent a fair amount of time in both Harrisburg and Washington dealing with different concerns that industry had. It was not anything that was specific to our personal business, although obviously part of it from an industry standpoint. So things from pesticides to labor, were some of the things that we dealt with over the years. And essentially that led me to Harrisburg. It led me to the Department of Agriculture on many occasions to talk to deputies, to bureau directors, and eventually I was appointed to a couple of committees here over the years. And then when the time came, our business was a little bit in transition 8 years ago. And I looked at this as an opportunity, had a discussion with now Secretary Redding, if he had needed or looked or wanted to look at his staff and his executive staff as to the industries that he wanted to cover. Typically here at the department, most people look at the ag department as animal based. So plants tend to take a kind of a backseat role. So for him to appoint me was kind of an anomaly that we were now in a position to let the plant industry in the state of Pennsylvania be represented by a deputy secretary for the first time in a very long time. So quite an honor, but also a lot of responsibility moving forward. However, not only did I end up with plant industry as the obvious and Hardwoods Development Council as kind of that second obvious, I also work with the Bureau of Horse Racing. I work with the Bureau of Rides and Measurement and Weights and Measures. I work with dog law enforcement. So it's a very diverse, portfolio, if you will, that I get a chance to engage in every day. And so what I've done is, by not knowing a lot of the other areas, I've simply tried to take my business background and apply it to these different groups that I work with. And essentially that has led me down the path of where I am today and what I'm talking to you about today. And that is the hemp industry, one that I had no inkling about several years ago, but just took on the challenge, being that it was new to the state after 80 plus years being silent. And so it had its own challenges, and tried to assimilate the business acumen that I have to some of the challenges that the industry faces. And so that's a long into here's where I am today. But yeah, looking forward to the challenges that have faced us currently, and knowing that there's a whole lot more to do going forward.
That's awesome.
What was your first like professional interaction with the hemp industry or the hemp plant when you joined this role?
Yeah, so first interaction would have been just getting the bill passed in the state of Pennsylvania. Governor Wolf signed it in 2016. It followed the Farm Bill of 2014 on a federal level, and essentially it was a whole new arena that, quite frankly, I didn't have much knowledge of. I knew what cannabis sativa was, but other than the plant itself, I did not realize the differences. So there was a whole lot of education for not only myself, but staff to understand the differences, and already knowing that the medical marijuana program was in place prior to the hemp program in the state. So there were nuances that we had to understand, that we had to build out, so that as we put the program out for the state, we weren't interfering, if you will, with the medical program, because there are certain nuances, as I said, that there's interactions with plant material that we had to consider as we were writing our policies and our procedures, what we were allowing, what we were not allowing, and everything was going to follow the federal Farm Bill, which at the time was simply research. Again, this was not a commercial action that the people that would engage, that the permittees. And so early on, it was a very small group that engaged, and then built out from there.
That's really neat. So as that built out, then what are the roles and responsibilities of your office and the folks that work with you in terms of the policies and the regulations of industrial hemp versus, say, the medical marijuana program?
Yeah, Ron. So again, just to simply say, the medical marijuana program is its own. The interaction between this agency and the Department of Health is simply to look at their list of pesticides that they use on their plant material. We make recommendations, and it's up to them to implement them. We are not visiting their sites or anything like that. So once again, the interaction is simply from looking at those chemicals that would be potentially used on the medical plant in their businesses, for their grower processors. For us, we had to look at what was given to us, and at the time in 2014 Farm Bill, it was research. So we had to build our policies and our program around a research model, which was somewhat limited. So it ended up with limited acreage, limited participation, and so weren't sure, I guess, is what I would say, Ron, as to where it was going to and what it was going to follow at that time in 2016. But shortly thereafter, 2 years later, the 2018 Farm Bill came out, which opened the door to a lot more activity in the state of Pennsylvania, primarily on the CBD end. The industrial end seemed to not have the pizzazz, the flavor, the what people thought was an opportunity to cash in on what they visioned. Their vision was that they could cash in on quite a good economic return on their investment. For the department, we were building out the program, the policies based on the Farm Bill. We had to go through the USDA, AMS, which is the Agricultural Marketing Service there, and we had to write a program, had to be approved by them, by USDA, and then implemented here in the state over the time. There have been since the 2018 Farm Bill, there were some interim rules that were reviewed and then implemented a couple of years later as the federal USDA AMS looked at how can we improve our program. They sent out surveys to the states, of which we responded similar. There is a group of regulators that work between states, meet regularly every month or every couple of months. In the beginning, it was more often to identify challenges that states were having that were common, that they were able to move forward and open the doors to potential businesses in their states. States, because they were individual, they were able to. Some states built their programs differently. Many did things differently. In our state, we tended to lean more towards what the federal guidelines were. We were seen to be a little more strict, but yet still sitting down, taking time to have meetings with the industry, with the people, to see where we could do things better. Because again, the law was essentially guidance. We were able to write our program, and so therefore our policies could be created as long as we were following the program that was approved by USDA. So again, our interaction as an agency with the industry, and I think I'm safe in saying this, is that the industry has been very complimentary over the years. There's always going to be sticking points that an agency who is a regulatory agency is always going to have their times when they just can't. The answer can't be yes. It has to be no. So but overall, it's been a very positive program for us as an agency since 2018, when so many people got on board, and unfortunately those numbers have decreased, but still there's a really good core of people in the industry across the state. So it's not even concentrated in one area. So that's very encouraging for us as an agency.
Yeah, I guess there's always kind of a gold rush kind of mentality for any new industry, right? That there's going to be this blip at the beginning of people that think they're going to come in and make quick money or whatever. But so I assume you're starting to see that. It sounds like you're saying that's sort of settling out, and you're getting to more of the people that are really interested in this as a long-term industry for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way I would portray it is that I think that people that are here today are invested in it. And I don't mean just economically. They're invested, wholeheartedly in creating something better for both the environment, for the state, for the community they're in. So it's we've kind of narrowed it down to people that are absolutely engaged and looking for the next best up.
I was curious how your department maybe had to grow over the years to handle the changes in hemp policy and the increase in farmers growing it, and it's a more regulated crop, so that probably creates a workload for you. So I was curious about that. And also, well, I'll let you answer that first. Go ahead.
Well, again, so for the agency, for the Bureau of Plant Industry, new area, as you're alluding to, Gabby, and we ended up with one person that was in charge, program director, but there was field staff, and then also it was a matter of us taking time to educate our existing inspectors. So it's kind of like instead of inspecting for chrysanthemums and going to a normal nursery. They were going to fields, and again, there was a learning curve, to your point. Through time, we have created a position for independent inspectors. Over the last couple of years, there's been, I think, somewhere close to 35 independent inspectors throughout the state that have helped with that workload. Our staff here at the department still has an obligation to going out and making sure that these things are done correctly. We do have staff that, and staff by that I mean one, that is currently part of the review process for applications. I think that's always the challenge when you're given new laws, is that the resources sometimes lag behind, and so I believe that going forward, that there's an opportunity to grow our staff. It's like anything else. It's going to be based on the needs of the industry. Our industry, plant industry itself, is a horticultural industry in the state of Pennsylvania is a very broad and big industry, and so consequently there are different responsibilities that our inspectors have on a daily basis, agronomics to fertilizers to plant material to plant disease. So this kind of fits right into the what's next for hemp. Is there just the learning curve for our inspectors that are out there today?
Yeah, that actually leads great into my kind of follow-up question, which was, is the state considering hemp as a new priority moving forward and maybe shifting away from other types of plants or types of agriculture? Like, where do you see hemp like fitting into like the future plan of agriculture in Pennsylvania? And do they see it as like an opportunity to move away from other things?
So I think the way I would want to answer that is that we are still in the education phase of hemp, education of the public, to build on perception of the value. We, as I stated earlier, we've been seeing more on the cannabinoid side, CBD side. What has been lost in translation is that there are so many uses for the plant in our everyday life, from our clothing to ceiling tiles to the manufacturing of housing. There are just so many other places where this plant fits in our lives on a daily basis. So part of this transition, if you will, Gabby, and priority is going to be the education process. I believe that once that the community, and I mean community broadly, understands the value that this plant can bring, and this industry can bring to the state of Pennsylvania, you will begin to see more traction to support moving forward. There is a great opportunity that has been bestowed on the state through a National Science Foundation grant that is going to look at the industry, where potential gaps are, where potential wins are for the industry, and how do we access that moving forward. So we've been given a great opportunity through this federal grant to build this industry, to find out how we get the chance to move the industry forward. To further answer your question, yes, this administration has looked at and is looking at many different products, but hemp certainly is one. From an innovation standpoint, this administration is committed to innovation moving forward, and finding those pockets and those industries where they can be supportive of it, to move it forward.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
You mentioned the administration, and since you're a state agency, obviously politics always comes into everything. But from the outside, at least, not being a state employee or anything, it seems like this is an issue that has some support on both sides of the aisle, so to speak, from both parties, for different reasons, maybe. But do you see this as a more bipartisan issue compared to most?
Yeah, and I think Ron, you've absolutely are putting something out there that is very true. The if there's a challenge, it is going to be breaking down the perceptions that are out there today, because once you can be in a conversation with the legislators or the administration, and they begin to understand the value that this product can bring and the growth that this industry can see moving forward, it changes the whole dynamics of the conversation. It's more of how can I help? What more can I learn, as opposed to putting brakes on and having the other questions that are out there. There's just a multitude of opportunities. But I'll go back to what I said to Gabby, is the important part of this next couple of years is going to be education. And like I said, educating the consumer, educating the municipalities, the local governments, the counties, to understand how hemp can actually bring value. And think of it too as we all hear the stories of how agriculture and farmers are trying to find a way to be profitable. This creates diversity in their crop rotations. This creates diversity in how they deal with their soils. This product, this plant broadens the spectrum that allows them to be part of rather than not part of. If I'm growing corn, it limits where I'm marketing myself. If I now can diversify my product line, my crop line, and knowing that this plant fits in so many different places, adds that much more to the possibilities for profitability when it comes to the farming community.
Mm-hmm. You've a couple of times mentioned how important education and communication is going to be in this. What are some of the specific things that your office does to talk to people up and down that supply chain, farmers, suppliers, processors, consumers, or what are the levers that you have in your agency to try to facilitate that process?
So, we work with our communications office a lot. If you go to our website, you can see a whole area dedicated to industrial hemp, both sides, cannabinoid as well as industrial. We've worked with Team PA in our conferences that we've had. Our staff is out working with farmers. We've created integrated pest management programs to work with our farmers, because the one thing that, as you would anticipate, once a plant is more stabilized in the rotation, there are certain things that you're learning all the time. So we're working with Penn State at their agronomic farm to see what are there different pests, are there different ways to deal with these, with pests, with fertilizers, with crop rotation, with the climate, how it affects climate. So it's kind of the big picture right now, Ron, to let you know. I think that it's the one thing over the next couple of years that certainly I'm hoping that we can focus a little more on the industry now that we are what I would like to say past our grade school classes, meaning that we've got policies in place, we've got program in place. So I think that we are at the next step for the agency. as much as we're a regulatory agency, we're also here to educate. We're not here to be handing out fines. We're here to make sure that people understand the dynamics of the business that they're in. I feel that, and I've said this to our staff, we're in the business of keeping people in business. So, yes, there are rails sometimes around businesses, but it's really finding pathways to make sure that every day somebody that's in business can be profitable and move their product.
Great.
It's fascinating. It seems like that you have to kind of be a point guard in a lot of ways with a bunch of other state and federal agencies and private companies. I mean, the breadth of other agencies that you have to link with in this industry. So what are some of the other state and federal agencies that you have to sort of stay in touch with in order to move this forward in Pennsylvania? Because I guess the piece I'm struggling with is there's always that balance between rigid federal regulations, and then it's quote unquote easy because everything's set, and then the states' rights approach, which you described earlier, where each state is kind of interpreting the guidelines and trying things, and then you have to kind of work with all those other states to figure out what's working. What are the biggest sort of communication connections you need to pull this off with those other agencies?
I guess what comes to mind is that as you said, it starts at the federal level, and from USDA and AMS and their from where they have approached this industry. I think that we have done, and they have done, a very nice job of allowing the industry to find its footing and to be able to move forward. There's, as you know, and for those that will be hearing this, there is a 2023 Farm Bill. Within that Farm Bill coming up, there are a lot of different thoughts on how do we make this industry better. So anxious to see how that plays out. We have dealt with sometimes the lack of federal guidance from specifically FDA has not necessarily been the industry's friend, if you will, and certainly not for agencies in every state that deals with hemp, because there is that, as you said, there's that thought process that says we can take guidance from the federal level, but when that federal level does not fulfill that need, then states have been on their own to try to create some kind of guidance for this industry, which does make it difficult then, knowing that you're moving product between states. So, how do we deal with that? And so it's kudos to regulators from state to state that are continuing to meet and talk about the challenges that they have, and to make sure that conversation surfaces, hopefully in the Farm Bill, to maybe eliminate or minimize some of the challenges that they have today. So we're waiting for that. On a state level, I'd say one of the bigger challenges is still this, as I like to say, this pullback to the cousin marijuana that unfortunately local, state enforcement officers struggle with, and again, that's not being detracting from them, because it is a challenge that they have. So we have absolutely, as our agency, we have absolutely worked with state and local enforcement to make sure that they're aware of who the permittees are. We encourage our permittees to put signage with their permit numbers and things like that on their fields. And through the years, we've made sure that they're being proactive with their local enforcement agencies, so that they already know ahead of time that this is a hemp product, and so that has worked out fairly well. Certainly lately, it's worked out really well. And then you still always have you're always going to have a little bit of glitches here and there. Local municipalities, local communities. So that's where we've looked at the program. So, for instance, planting in proximity to elementary schools or to schools in general. We've addressed those kinds of things that are issues that you sometimes don't think about, but they have come up, and we as an agency have tried to minimize that exposure for both the farmer and for the school. Those are just some little things, Ron, that do come up from time to time, and certainly we've tried to address them.
I was wondering how the Department of Agriculture will be interacting with the Department of Health now that there will be more crossover with the medical marijuana market and the hemp market, which I feel like might be interesting to those listening as they are on the medical side. So how will Department of Ag be playing a role in that?
Well, I'll back up because about 2+ years ago, I had the opportunity to meet with their director, John Collins, and we both realized that there was through the tinctures and the oils, if you will, there was an opportunity there that was being missed. There was a need on the medical side for a different product line. And so we started working together. And fortunately, not to drag this out, but to simply say that there's language in Act 44 of the Medical Marijuana Act that's out there that allows for hemp growers to work with the grower processor in the medical marijuana program. The product can be bought, but the product does have to follow everything that the medical marijuana program has designed to create the safety when it comes to any kind of toxins and heavy metals and things like that they require. Same requirements are there for our hemp growers. But from what I understand, there certainly have been some transactions, and there are some that are working with each other. So in many ways, this gave them, our hemp grower permittee, what I would like to consider today in the state of Pennsylvania, a legitimate market, because all the labeling, all the testing that needs to be done before that product hits the public, that creates the public safety that the medical marijuana program is very high on. All those things are required. So, the interaction is happening today, and I just expect that it's gonna expand as genetics get better. Different plant material cultivars are created in the future. I just see this as a very open, expansive market for both programs.
Mm-hmm. So you've started to talk about some of the future things that you might see out there. You talked about the 2023 Farm Bill. So let me ask you to put your crystal ball on, and what in your opinion, what would this look like in Pennsylvania and in the United States in general in 5 years or 10 years? Like, what would be the big wins you'd love to see? What are the big hurdles you'd love to see fixed? What's your crystal ball look like?
Well, I think that from the future, I'll go back to the many uses that the plant allows to happen, and I'll go back to what I keep saying is it needs to be part of everyday life. I think that today manufacturers from Patagonia to others are looking at how they can expand their markets with the use of the hemp product. with the fiber. And I think that when you start looking at the future, it's not so much that it's hemp, it's that it's part of the common everyday conversation. It's on the shelf. It's a shirt that you buy at wherever you purchase clothing. It's the ceiling tile that whether it's Armstrong or others has created to create a better environment, a better footprint for themselves. But construction is going to go on, and everywhere where you're looking at an insulation that today is made of the fiberglass, there is an opportunity, and already is being done with hemp. It's being able to build on commercialization, to build the scale, I think that to look at those manufacturers that don't need to necessarily invest a lot in the beginning to convert to the use of the hemp plant, the fiber, the resin. When you're building or you're putting together plywood, is that resin need to be made from the petroleum? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. And so, but how do we build the scale? So I think that, Ron, that really the future is again building perception, building, educating those people, the consumer, that they begin to demand this product that, in the end, will be better for them, better for the environment. You can only imagine if we could convert all plastic bottles and containers that are made more of the hemp resin, where we know it's going to break down in several years, not years upon years, and tens of years, hundreds of years, whatever. When you walk into a building, that there's research being done today to look at what that environmental impact is in those buildings, the air you breathe. What is it? Is it good for you? Well, today we know it may or may not be so good. So how do we build on that story? How do we build this industry based on what seems to be the demand of the public, and that is to create a better planet, a better environment that we all get to live in.
Mm-hmm. It's fascinating. So I heard three really interesting things there that I want to make sure that the students listening pick up on. You mentioned that I think getting to scale is going to be important. So, finding those applications where large enough volumes would be needed that you can really scale the industry is going to be critical. You've said repeatedly that the education of the public and the education of those in the supply chain is critical. And then I also heard you talking a lot about using sort of sustainability metrics as a way to make the argument, because a lot of what you just brought up were that it's going to make the environment better, it's going to make people's health better and the buildings they're in, it's going to be more sustainable, it's going to do carbon capture. So it sounds, and that's built in partly to that education piece, but I think scalability, sustainability, and sort of a solid educational message, it is what I'm hearing you say is like what's going to take this forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've heard what I'm saying, and with this opportunity, I'll go back to the grant that has been afforded us here in the state, this National Science Foundation grant. Part of gathering information over the next 2 years or thereabouts is going to be finding these pathways to create the sustainability, to create the scalability, to build on a more positive and better educated perception of the hemp plant, to allow the consumer to be the driving force. And as certainly I know from my previous background, most things become market driven. And I do believe today that the market is driving this direction for this plant. this plant fits very nicely in a lot of conversations today. So when you talk about, carbon sequestration or sustainability, or the soils, being able to hold the soils better, to create better, more fertile soils, to look at, some of the areas that today are abandoned in the cities, in the urban communities. We really didn't touch about that, but there are so many opportunities with these brownfields in and around the urban communities that this plant fits in there, that can pull out a lot of the toxins over a couple of years, that now we can start planting, gardens there that are sustainable gardens for food and fiber for those many that are today not exposed to the outside farming community. But now you take a plant and you build up your soils, you minimize these brownfields, and now you create actual areas that are urban farms.
Mm-hmm.
and using the soils that are there, not necessarily having to bring soil in.
That's amazing. So cool. That's awesome. So I always like to sort of end with a couple questions here. I know Abby, you have your favorite question about what products. I'll go with the last question, but I'll let you go with the next to last question.
Sure. Well, I always just like to ask people what their favorite hemp product is in like their daily life, and how they interact with the plant. And I know you've talked about a lot of the potential uses and things, but if you have any favorite hemp products, we're always curious to know.
Probably I'd have to say the fabric, the shirts. I'm not wearing one today, but have absolutely really appreciated the hemp fiber. It's a blend, with the cotton and the hemp fiber, but very soft product, very nice product, durable.
That was one of the other interviewees, Tarrant. Also, he literally had a hemp cotton blend T-shirt on the day we interviewed him. It was kind of wild.
I would hope he would.
Yes, exactly. So
yeah, he gave this will be kind of, I guess, a sneak preview for the students, because that interview will probably be shown after this one in the sequence. But he highly endorses like hemp sheets. So I'm definitely going to be looking into hemp linens for my bedroom.
Yeah. And it's very interesting because the challenge today is you will have a hard time finding it. It's not something every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I keep going back to, this, as we build the perception and the perception gets stronger and better, there's we've created more of an awareness to the value, and coming from that business world, the one thing that has always been difficult for agriculture and farming in general is to really maximize your ability to ask the right price so that you create the profitability moving forward. The farming community has always ended up a little bit short on that totem pole. And so I'm hoping, Ron, when you ask a question about the future and moving forward, I'm hoping that through the education and the ability to create the value of the product, that it doesn't rise too far, but still allows the farming community to want to be in this, because without the farming community, you have nothing.
Yeah.
And that's it's again something that I don't want to see it where it's a novelty, as much as my comment before. I want to be able to see this product become part of everyday life.
Yeah.
That has to be their goal. And that's not creating new products. It's just being part of existing products.
Yeah.
Another
One
important
of the things. Yeah. One of the things. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I say that's another
Yeah.
important concept
Yeah.
that you have to wrap your head around. I'm not looking to create a new product. I just want to take this shirt and I want to blend it with that fiber. I want to create that ceiling tile that it's got the hemp fiber in along with existing, so that now I'm creating a better product moving forward.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, that's and one of the things I really appreciate about this community, and you and I have talked to a lot of the folks in this sort of along the supply chain, is that they do have top of mind this idea of local supply chains and figuring out ways to keep the value in the communities that actually are generating the value, right? So that the farmers actually get a fair share, that the processors are local and they get a fair share. I think that, yeah, and I think the plan is actually kind of, because different varietals will grow differently in different parts of the country, and which means that different products will be sort of focused on in different parts of the country. Maybe I'm too optimistic, but I don't think that like a large corporation could really come in and dominate the hemp market in the entire country. It's going to be so different in each region that I'm hoping that means there will be local supply chains and the money will stay in the regions that have these industries.
Yeah, and you go back to Ron's scale. Today your farmer is planting soybeans, corn, wheat, whatever it is, depending on the part of the country, which is generating dollars, which is keeping them, in business. I think that the model, and we can look here in Pennsylvania, is to look at this as part of diversity in crops, not necessarily a mainstay that you're gonna remove, thousands of acres of corn, but to look at where you can diversify what you're doing today, and at the same time you're building the scale and you're building the model that allows for this plant to integrate into the marketplace on a much larger scale than it is today. Again, I have talked about having these. We're familiar with industrial parks. Well, why couldn't there be agricultural parks? So that knowing that this product doesn't necessarily travel well, that you look at this agricultural park that not only has the hemp decortication, but it has part of the manufacturing that goes on within that park. And then, oh, by the way, you look at other commodities and you say, well, we could have small meat packers and we could have processors and we could have even small dairy processors. To your point about everything doesn't need to be large, and the other piece that I think that needs to be addressed is going to be logistics. The cost of logistics is not going to go down. It's going to continue to grow, and those are bottom dollar to the farmer. Those are bottom dollars. That is profit in their pocket. So if I can come up with a model, a program, a model of multiple different agricultural centers, then I can keep that community in close proximity to the manufacturing and the processing.
Mhm.
If I can do that, then the logistics will take care of itself when it comes to distribution beyond that park, because we in Pennsylvania are blessed with a tremendous distribution system.
Mhm.
So again, I'll just throw that out to the crowd that we're talking to, is this is one piece of it, but there are different pieces of this conversation beyond just growing the plant, manufacturing the plant, processing the plant. You've got to have distribution, and that's logistics, and you've got to build that supply chain in a way that it becomes profitable in all centers. You know, we've got to pay attention to that. I know I keep coming back to it, Ron, but you and I both saw how this thing played out from 18 to now, and there's, you know, it's this inability to actually put dollars back in the farmer's pocket. So the big question you asked, what do I see in the future? This is the kind of thought process that needs to be played out, is how do I keep things in close proximity to the farming community? And then how do I build that out moving forward?
That's great. I think that's a great ending statement. Do you have any final words of advice for the students that are listening that you want to leave them with as we say goodbye?
Well, I would just simply say thank you for this opportunity, number one. Number two is keep your mind open. I think that as you embrace what you're embarking on, keeping your mind open to the ability to take on challenges and not be discouraged by failure, to take it one step at a time, and know that you don't always win the first time, but you know, and I say that in context with this material and with this plant and with this industry. This industry is just growing back. It is yes, the plant and conversation has been around for a lot of years, but we are just growing
I was just gonna say, like, even just all the super old timers who have been like on the advocacy side for a long time, even getting the bill passed, like there was a lot of no before the opportunity to grow it was even there. So
yeah,
been a long haul.
So it's so I guess I just leave you with just, you know, you take on challenges, and you know, I'll put it to you this way: if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. So I'll leave you with that.
Well said. Thank you so much for your time today, Fred. We appreciate you spending some time with us and sharing it with the students.
Again, Ron, Gabby, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.